Good Saturday evening. What's going on there, folks? Earthmaster here, jumping in on the live stream, Earthquake Live 3D stream here. It is May 15th, 2021, 6:30 p.m. straight up West Coast time here on this party Saturday night. The latest quake here, 4.0, out around the Mediterranean Sea. We've seen quite the increase in earthquake activity out here over the last 24 hours with quite a few four-pointers out here in this region of the world. Taking a look here at the, there we go, the USGS map here of 2.5 earthquake and above. Shows the activity over here in the Mediterranean Sea region right around Italy as well. They've seen a looks like a 4.1 in Italy at 10.8 kilometers below surface. Striking up there, looks like it may have rattled a few nerves in this region. Let's see what's going on. We got quite a bit of a slow activity from the USGS today. I'm not for sure what's going on with their data. Historical seismic activity shows a region that does see heightened earthquake activity over time. It's not a huge cluster, but we do see earthquake activity. And this map here shows the recent activity since about 1900 in this region. So pretty seismically active for that area. Down here around the Sea of Crete, or south of the Sea of Crete, south of Crete, Mediterranean Sea region, very, very seismically active region. I don't even think I have to show that on the map here. 32 kilometers for this earthquake, that 4.1. This region here, very capable of actually seeing some pretty large earthquakes. I'm talking about above 7.0 in this region here, but for now only a four-pointer, which ain't too bad, right? Turkey getting in on the action up here, northern Turkey area, a 4.0 at 5.8 kilometers. Of course, another seismically active area in this region of the world. Taking a look at some hot spots over the last 24 hours. I think we have to look at the area towards the Coral Sea, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu region. This area here kind of seeing an increase in 5-pointers. Quite a few fives kicking off here, and most of these are relatively shallow, pretty much above 55 kilometers or above. Papua New Guinea getting in the action right there with the 4.6 at the surface, at about 10 kilometers or so. Maybe not specifically at the surface, but relatively shallow for that earthquake activity. Up here near Japan, Tokyo, little 4.7 off the coast, just in that Japan trench area. 16.2 kilometers below surface, nothing big. Kind of quieting down up there once again, folks, as we're seeing the majority of earthquake activity stretch its way through the Indonesia area, up through parts of China, over India. And you can pretty much follow this line of plate boundary activity, and this is kind of it kind of plays its part here. I mean, if you look on a map, and if you were to take crayons, so to speak, here, or any type of markers, and draw out lines of activity, you would see how plate dynamics work over time. It's very visual, very visual. If you take a look at, we'll go ahead and go back 7 days or so, and you can see the line of activity that it follows up here. And arrows. I mean, I guess you could put arrows on a map, but arrows doesn't necessarily mean exactly where earthquake activity is going to happen. But it does follow a general direction of plate tectonic movement. And this has been happening for a long time. Geologists have followed it for a very long time. Something I learned back in 7th and 8th grade history class, or not history, but science class, earth sciences. Something that if you were paying attention back then, you would know how plate dynamics work out here in this region of the world. It follows a obvious level, a road of plate tectonic movement here throughout this region. And that most of it starts right here with this deeper earthquake activity and works its way westward. And then we could follow that line of activity over here. What else we got here, folks? Let's zoom in to, I tell you what, South America is pretty quiet. Looking at that activity there in South America, we are looking at a dead standstill for earthquake movement 4.0 and above over the last 24. It's kind of scary because we have not seen anything in the last 24 hours for that earthquake activity in that region. There was a 5.4 out here in this the Chile Rise area. But other than that, folks, I mean, we're looking at some seriously quiet movement here in South America after weeks of deep earthquake activity down there and no mega release of pressure in that region. So this could be the next hotspot of a major movement. What do we got here? Guatemala area. Let's zoom in here. There's a couple paraquakes there, 4.2, 4.3, basically Mexico. Guatemala down here, well down to the south on the globe. It's kind of hard to tell, right? Until you zoom in. Inland and pretty deep in the Middle America Trench area. And this is inland deep earthquake activity. Subduction zone earthquake activity. 104 kilometers and 53 kilometers for that pair of earthquakes right there. Of course, you look at this map here, and pretty obvious to see. Away from the Middle Trench, you get into the deeper movement. 104 kilometers. Closer to the Middle American Trench, 53 kilometers there. And so on and so on. Similar to what we would see up here along the Cascadia once we start seeing earthquake activity. But man, I tell you what, this area has been under an extreme blessing, so to speak. We have not seen any significant movement along the Cascadia in over 300 and something years. And it's due. It's definitely due, but it's got some type of protection against it, so to speak, for now. A little bit of movement out here outside of Eureka area. You can see Eureka just to the north, a little 2.7 at 5.3 kilometers near, it looks like USGS, putting this at Humboldt Hill area. Pacific Northwest, relatively quiet. We are seeing a little increase in earthquake activity in Idaho. Sawtooth Fault System getting back in the action there with quite a few twos, some microquakes popping up in there as well. But no major movement. This fault system very capable of producing a 6.0 or greater magnitude in that region there. So just a heads up for the Idaho area. A little bit of movement along the Sierra Nevadas here, stretching up from Mount Lassen and down into Lake Tahoe. Of course, Sierra Nevadas brought up by plate tectonics, right? They've been doing their thing for quite some time. We're not looking at any significant movement, just a couple microquakes throughout the eastern edge of the Sierra Nevadas. Along the creeping section of San Andreas Fault, Soledad, eastward, seen a couple small microquakes. Ridgecrest area, not very active, just a couple small microquakes in that region. And Southern California looking fairly, looking average, folks. On any given day, we look at a map in Southern California, and this is pretty much kind of what it looks like. This is a little below average for the plate dynamics out here along the major plate boundary, such as the Pacific Plate over here to the west and the North American Plate to the east. Okay, this is a major plate boundary. And this here, what we're seeing today, of all magnitudes, pretty much a little below average for any given day for earthquake activity. What else we got? Oklahoma, you guys are in for a soaking. Let me tell you, over the next week or so, you guys are looking at for some major severe weather and lots of rainfall. Man, if we could only see a fraction of that here in California, I would be very thankful. But we're dead in the water. We are in a major drought, significant drought here in California. And it sucks so bad as a weather lover to enjoy weather and rainfall, to live in such a dry climate. But Oklahoma, Texas, you guys are looking at some significant rainfall over the next week, 2 weeks. Earthquake activity just popping up there a little bit. We'll see how the rainfall affects that over the next few days or so. What else we got? South Georgia Island region, they did see a 5.0, kind of in an area we haven't seen any significant movement in quite some time. Let's go ahead and check this out a little bit for historical seismic activity since 1900, kind of on that edge boundary right there, on the edge of this plate boundary. for some significant movement. There has been larger quakes in this region, including 6.0s and a couple larger ones down here to the south, as you see historical seismic activity increase as you make its way down towards this plate boundary to the south. But kind of right there on that edge, right there where we see not a whole lot. There's been a few smaller, looks like 4.5 to 5.0 earthquakes in that region. There has been some larger quakes within the vicinity of that earthquake that we've seen today, that 5-pointer in the South Georgia region. What else we got here, folks? Solar weather. Looks like another storm coming up here, folks, towards the 18th. May 18th. The solarham.net folks have and it's pretty obvious right here, right? If you look at and if you pay attention to the solar dynamics of the sun, okay, what do you see here? These are coronal holes. These are solar sunspots, right? The weak ones, very weak ones. Another coronal hole up here and to the south, pretty big one. Earth facing right there. This one is going to be aiming directly at us, near center. It'll begin facing Earth here really soon, within the next couple days. Solar wind stream flowing from this coronal hole could create a geomagnetic disturbance beginning May 18th. Okay, so the solarham.net folks, including I'm sure space weather and whatnot, NASA, have issued a potential geomagnetic storm on the 18th of May, with a 20% aurora being visible at middle latitudes, a 50% at higher latitudes. So we'll see how this thing compares to. It's not going to be probably even half of what we've seen a couple days ago with that pretty significant geomagnetic storm. But nonetheless, activity ramping up here on the sun with coronal holes and sunspots right there, 28, 22, and so on. A couple weaker decaying sunspots. Overall, it's not good. It's the sun should be coming back to life here pretty soon, and I'm really ready for that to ramp up. Tremor map, folks. What do we got? Looks like the 15th. Yeah, there we go. 15th of today. Little bit of movement. This is a major die down in earthquake activity, or at least tremor activity, compared to past few weeks, and including the past couple days. We did see pretty much a tremor increase in activity in the southern Oregon and northern California activity once again, but it has died down, it looks like, today, with only 50 epicenters of tremor in the parts of the looks like Trinity County, Northern California area. The southern end, this is going to be the southern end of the Cascadia, if you will. If you picture in your mind, the subduction zone ends right about here, kind of subducts down underneath the North American plate this way, in this fashion. And of course, northward, it continues diving down underneath the North American plate with the Juan de Fuca plate. But so far, areas north have been relatively quiet, very quiet. But southern ends, it was ramping up. There was no doubt it was ramping up over the last few weeks. Today, quiet, but it has not ceased to exist. So we'll keep an eye on it for sure. Yellowstone, that has ceased to exist when it comes to earthquake activity. I mean, it's not even active at all. It kind of looks like it's dead. I mean, there's nothing, absolutely nothing going on, folks. Some interference over here to the east on the east entrance, and it looks like some mechanical operational interference there near Parker Peak. Other than that, zip, zero, nada, folks. Let me tell you, it's pretty quiet. All right, guys, enjoy your Saturday evening. We're out here barbecuing up some trout. Who likes fish out here? Does anybody like fish? I do. I absolutely love fish. So we're barbecuing up some trout. The way I like to cook it, at least, is in foil, right? Aluminum foil with some butter or margarine, whatever you like to use. I actually like to use margarine. And I put some garlic salt. I think it's Lori's garlic salt in there. And wrap it up in foil. and put it on the top grill, kind of away from the main heat. And man, that trout comes out. Oh my gosh, I can't even explain. If you're a fish lover, you would realize what I'm talking about. It's tender. So I'm cooking that along with some filet mignon, some loin, right? Tenderloin, beef tenderloin on the barbecue. And you know how tenderloin is very, if you cook it right, it's very, very soft, very fragile, if you will. Very soft meat. That's how the fish is. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for it to be done. So I'm gonna head out there and check on it and see what's going on there on the barbecue, and just enjoy the rest of my Saturday evening. And I hope everyone out there does the same thing. You know, you don't have to eat fish, you don't have to eat beef. Whatever you're doing, just enjoy the evening. And I hope everyone has a good one. So we'll chat to you guys a little bit later. Stay safe out there, and yeah, peace out.